Each of the 18 Pokémon types has a clear energy, an essence that defines them and makes them different from all the others. Generally distinct looks and aura. Pokémon themselves have signature types, moves have them. Even people often have types which they use most and make them famous, such as gym leaders. But have you ever wondered which locations of the Pokémon world actually represent every type? Think of geographical areas as if they were living Pokémon. Which area, out of the 9 mainline regions, would be the signature place for each element? Well, this is the topic of this video, so welcome to Ironically Bundled. Sit back and enjoy. First thing first, we need to define our metrics. How are we actually going to say which location gets to be picked as best representation? That is going to come down to a few things such as the vibe, aesthetics, which kind of environment or habitat it is, and lastly we need to consider the wild Pokémon population, of course. Keep in mind this is just for fun and a matter of opinion. So we're going to go through each of the 18 types and reward locations with bronze, silver, and gold medals for those who fit best, and honorary spots for those that don't quite rank high enough. Let's start with electric type. Here I selected 5 spots, which could be interesting. At the bottom, our first honorary mention is Sunyshore City in the Sinnoh region. There you can find an electric type gym, and the whole city runs on electricity provided by the extensive solar panel installations. Not bad, but we can do better. I gave the honorary spot of number 4 to the Ultra Plant. It's the home planet of Ultra Beast 03 circuitry. This one would actually fit the number 1 location for electric type. I mean, it's an entire world constantly struck by lightning and storms, with creatures who specifically evolved to take advantage of this power. The only reason I decided to keep it as an honorable mention is that it's not in our world, so I'm not sure if it should count. For our first bronze medal of the video, at number 3, we find Unova's Chargestone Cave. It's a natural environment with a special magnetic field and electrical currents. In fact, many electric-type Pokémon live here. At number 2, our silver medal goes to the Kanto Power Plant, this iconic and classic location, while artificial is the resting place of the legendary bird Zapdos. However, at number 1, for our gold medal, the signature location for electric type is Lumiose City. Among the reasons why it ranked in first place, it's a modern metropolis based on Paris, and the real city is nicknamed the City of Lights. Lumiose is known for its high-tech infrastructure. The city symbol resembles an electric tower and is lit up with electricity and functions as an electric-type gym. As for ghost type,
so good it's scary.
The bronze medal goes to the old chateau inside the Eterna Forest, Sinnoh. It's a ghost house inside a deep forest with ghost Pokémon and creepy events like the little girl, the butler, or the Rotom that you can catch. As for the second place, this one goes to the thrifty Megamart in Alola. It's where the ghost trial with Acerola takes place and the Mimikyu jump scare. For the first place, the one and only Lavender City in Kanto. I don't think I have to explain this place. Personally, I would have ranked it lower than the other 2 ghostly places. It's less fun, but I have to recognize it's the oldest and most iconic of them. Let's jump to the bug type. For third place, we have the Great Marsh in Sinnoh. I mean, marshes in general are probably the best habitat for bugs. They're humid, with vegetation and water. It screams bug type. Here you can find the Yanma line, for example. I assigned the second place to the Viridian Forest in Kanto. Again, great vegetation and climate for bugs, probably abundant in nectar and pollen and such. You can find a variety of different bug-type Pokémon here. But the gold medal goes to the Johto National Park, with its own famous bug-catching contest. Dare I say more? The Johto region also particularly reminds me of bugs for some reason, not sure if it's just me. Let's move to the fairy type. I have one honorary place for this one, which is the Slumbering Weald in Galar. I mean, look at this place. The fog, atmosphere, and looks. This is where you first get to meet the legendary wolves. As for third place, we have Part Mount Moon in Kanto. Clefairies, depending on the moon's cycle and time, will have a ritual of celebration. This also happens in Hisui, so I guess it's less so a location thing. But I'll count it anyway. Fun fact. Clefairy was once supposed to be the mascot of the franchise instead of Pikachu, but was later scrapped. Anyway, for second place there's Laver City in Kalos. This is quite literally a fairy tale location. There's also the first fairy type gym here. The Kalos region also was the first to introduce the fairy type. For the gold medal, at number 1 we have none other than the area of Balinli and Glimwood Tangle. This is the most fairy-coded location in the entire games and I love it. Of course you can find many fairy-type Pokémon. There's a fairy gym, fairy vibes, and aesthetics. If there was a Pokémon game only set in this place, I'd still buy it. Moving on to fire type. I have one honorary mention, being Cinnabar Island. There's a volcano and a fire-type gym. Enough said. Spoiler, all fire-type locations in my list are volcanoes. In fact, the bronze medal goes to the Stark Mountain in Sinnoh. It's a volcano, home to the legendary Pokémon Heatran. Here you're shielded from the region's otherwise colder climate. The silver medal goes to Wella Volcano Park in Alola. This is where you fight your fire trial at. But there's one more place. The gold medal goes to another volcano, Mount Chimney. This is where Team Magma has its base, and is a home for the volcanic legendary Pokémon Groudon. The whole surrounding area also fits very well the fire-type theme from Lavaridge Town with its fire-type gym and hot springs, as well as Route 113 with its volcanic ash coming from the mountain. Also listen to this music. Sorry, but I had to include that. It's quite literally fire. It's time for the dragon type. My first honorary place goes to the Lake of Rage in Johto. That place just has dragon vibes, what can I say? Gyarados is also an honorary dragon type. Let's be honest. Plus there's the presence of Lance. My second honorary place goes to the Dragon Spiral Tower in Unova, where part of the story with N and the legendary dragons happens, of course. But my third place goes to Hammerlock in Galar. That place is simply inspired by dragons, very medieval, big castle, also has a dragon gym, and is related to the story. My second place goes to Meteor Falls in Hoenn. It's the ancestral home of the Draconid people who worship Rayquaza, expanded upon in auras with Zinnia and Megas. The first place goes to the Dragon's Den in Johto. While less story and lore heavy, I believe it shines the most dragon energy. You can only access it after you beat the near Dragon-type Gym Leader Claire. Inside you find Dragon-type Pokemon and the Dragon Shrine. Here you also obtain the Dragon Badge and a Dratini as gift. Up next we have Water-type. My honorary mention for this one is Mirage Town and the whole water route leading to it. Not much to say here. For third place, we have Satopolis City. It's only accessible through diving or flight and plays a big role in the Hoenn story with the legendaries. Here you can also find a water-type gym. My second place goes to the Whirl Islands in Johto. It's a water-themed maze with dangerous whirlpools and waterfalls, out of which the legendary Pokemon Lugia will come out of in the story. My first place goes, however, to Humula City and its underwater tunnel in Unova. This place is definitely less important in terms of story and lore, but at the same time it has the most wow effect and fits the water type best. You almost feel like a fish in the ocean while traversing the tunnel. Now for ground type. All of my picks are deserts for this one, as I believe they fit ground type best. So for third place, we have the Asado Desert in Paldea. Here you can find the Paradox versions of Donphan, Great Tusk and Iron Treads. Be careful. For second place, there's the Hoenn Desert, Route 111. You can only traverse it with special goggles to protect you from sandstorms. Here there's also the Desert Ruins, Mirage Tower, and fossils. The gold medal goes to the Univan Desert, especially the Relic Castle. There's the ruins of an ancient city, and they're made up of many floors and a maze. Grass types turn. My first honorary mention goes to the lush jungle in Alola, full of vegetation and grass-type Pokémon thriving. My second honorary mention goes to the place where you meet Mew, the faraway island. It's basically the Amazon rainforest and part of an unknown region we have yet to explore. This one could have easily been first, but I have an equally nice home location for that. Now for the medals. The bronze goes to two similar places in the same region. I'm talking about the Floaroma Meadow and the Flower Paradise in Sinnoh. Two places far from each other, but very similar and full of flowers, where you get to meet the mythical grass-type Pokémon Shaman. The silver medal goes to the Eterna Forest, again in Sinnoh. It's the quintessential mysterious forest, iconic. Here you can also find the moss rock to evolve Eevee into Leafeon. The gold medal, however, goes to Fortress City in Hoenn. I believe this place best signifies a connection to the grass type, even though there's actually a flying type gym there. It's a tropical village with tree houses, seems perfect to me. Time for the rock type. I have many places here. Let's start with the honorary mentions. First of all, we have the Galar Mine, a minerary location with shiny multicolor stones. Then we have Pewter City in Kanto, home to a rock-type gym and built at the foot of a mountain. Here there's also a museum where you can revive your fossils. Now for the podium. Third place goes to another minerary location, Orberg City in Sinnoh, home to another rock-type gym and Orberg mines. Second place goes to Mount Coronet, again in Sinnoh. A huge mountain range that divides the region, full of caves and rock-type Pokémon. It also possesses a strong magnetic field that lets Pokémon like Nosepass evolve. As for the gold medal, I decided to give it to the Great Crater of Paldea. A huge and important location for the Scarlet and Violet games, of course, full of caves, giant crystals, etc. No need to explain this one. Flying type. This one doesn't count since it's not part of a mainline game, but I wanted to quickly mention the Sky Tower of Mystery Dungeon. Okay, now for the real stuff. Third place goes to the Sky Pillar in Hoenn. Only the worthy are permitted to enter this location. Very important for the local people, and where we get to meet Rayquaza. Second place goes to a place more connected to the wind, Valley Windworks in Sinnoh. Here lies a large wind-powered power plant with turbines, and also home to the Drifloon event. The first place goes to Mistralton City in Unova. It's pretty much an airport with a few houses next to it. There's also a flying-type gym. Can't get more flying than that. Now for the coolest type, the ice type. My honorary mention goes to the icy giant chasm in Unova, where we can find the legendary Pokémon Kyurem, home of the black and white lore. Another honorary mention would be Chichester in Galar, as well as the surrounding routes. It's a peaceful, cozy town surrounded by snow-themed routes and Pokémon. It also has hot springs in its center and an ice-type gym, although only in Shield version. My third place goes to Snowbell City in Kalos. It's nicknamed the City of Everlasting Winter. It's also home to an ice-type gym, and you can ride a Mamoswine in the snow in the near routes. The second place goes to Mount Lanakila in Alola, as it's described in the game, the roughest and coldest mountain in the region. Here you can find the newly established Alola Pokemon League and Victory Road. You can also find an ice rock that lets you evolve some Pokémon, as well as the ice-themed regional variant of Vulpix. However, the first place can only go to one location. I'm talking about Snowpoint City, as well as Route 217 in Sinnoh. They're just too iconic for the ice, and snow not to be first. The music, atmosphere, and everything is perfect. Moving on to the dark type. My only honorary mention for this is actually the Distortion World. Dark type translates to evil type in Japanese. And you know who Giratina was inspired by. My bronze medal instead goes to Castelia City. It's a giant metropolis full of dark alleyways and sketchy people. The silver medal goes to Po Town in Alola. It's a gloomy, ran-down walled town occupied by an evil team. The main building is literally called the Shady House. The gold medal obviously goes to Spikemouth and Galar, also the base of the villain team, and even a dark type gym. It's quite a small place, but fully fits the dark theme. Now for Psychic. An honorary mention goes to Moss Deep Space Center in Hoenn, connected with space and Deoxys, full of scientists. The third place goes to the Solation Ruins in Sinnoh. The area is full of history and unknowns. Also a location in PLA's Hisui. The second place goes to the Dream Yard in Unova. In the black and white story, we find Team Plasma Grunts kicking a Munna to obtain the Dream Mist. Some scientists and psychics train here. The first place goes to the Altar of the Sun and Moon. Quite central to the story. They're ancient sites. You encounter the psychic type legendaries and open a portal and travel to the Ultra Space. I'm also including the Lake of the Sun/Moon, equally mystical and important place. Normal type. This one is probably the most difficult, as normal types don't have, by definition, a strong defining energy. They're versatile and adaptable, often close to humans in cities or urban environments. So for my third place I give you, any of the large cities in Kanto, really. They give the most normal and urban vibes. Maybe Saffron City is the best for this position. It's also home to the Sylph Co., who created the normal type Porygon. As for the second place, I have Paniola Ranch in Alola. It's a farm location with many normal type Pokemon, as well as a daycare. My first place instead also goes to a rustic, farming, down-to-earth location, Postwick and Route 1 in Galar. It's home to many normal type early route Pokemon, such as the majestic Wooloo. It's fighting time. As for honorary mention, we have the Battle Royale Dome in Alola, where we meet the Chad Masked Royal and fight in free-for-all battles. The third place goes to the Dojo of Saffron City in Kanto. Here, many trainers specialize in fighting type Pokemon, and we get to choose between a gifted Hitmonchan or Hitmonlee. For my second place, we have the Pokeathlon Dome in Johto. Very athletic and fun, where we get to participate in different mini-games. Listen. The number one spot can only go to one place, the Battle Frontier, a park dedicated to different types of battles and challenges. Rest in peace. As for Steel type, the bronze medal goes to Iron Island in Sinnoh. It was previously dedicated to mining. Now it serves as a training ground for many trainers, such as the Steel type gym leader in the nearest town. Here you get gifted a Riolu. The silver medal goes to Motostoke in Galar, an old but modern town inspired by the Industrial Revolution. The gold medal goes to Wyndon, again in Galar. Inspired by London, it's a huge modern metropolis with skyscrapers. Not much to explain here. It's also connected to the Pokémon Duraludon, which has a Gigantamax form inspired from the shard. We're finally on the last type, Poison. For the third place, we have the recycling plant in Alola. The name says it all, and here we can find a regional variant of the poison-type Grimer. For the second place, we have the Castelia City sewers, also home to many Grimers and other cleaning-based Pokemon. For the first place, well, we have a whole region. It's Kanto. Kanto has always been synonymous with poison types for its focus on them. 22% of Kantonian Pokemon have poison as a type, which is a big number since this element isn't usually as common as, say, fire, grass, or water. Even one of the starters is poison type. Not to mention the heavy industrialization of certain cities and the heavy use of poisonous Pokemon by Team Rocket. There you have it. That took a surprising amount of time to write and research, but it was fun. There's almost certainly some places I missed or overlooked. But do you agree with my picks? Would you have chosen different places? I'm curious to know, so please participate in the discussion in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like and subscribe for more content. I also want to thank you for the nice comments and appreciation on my first video on the channel. I love Pokemon, and this is an experiment for me. If people enjoy this format, and we can carve out our own little space on the internet, that would be amazing. If you have other cool topics you'd like me to discuss, please share. But that's all for me. See ya.